Hi there, guys, and thanks for joining me. I'm coming to you from probably the favorite room in my house, which is my library. And it's very interesting. I've always been a voracious reader right from when I was a kid. And just looking at where we're at with regards to Brexit right now, which obviously is very topical, so many of the answers are here now in these books that sit behind me. Maybe not Bob Dylan just looking over my shoulder, but certainly some of the others that sit in here. Now, about a week or so ago, just as Brexit came to market in terms of the result being known, I published an article that was very specifically talking about the fact that the response to Brexit would be diminishing over time. And in fact, if we've seen how markets have traded this week, we've seen quite a considerable recovery across the major indices, which shows exactly as I'd stated that the anticipation of something is always greater than the actual event itself. It's called neuroepinephrine, which is quite a mouthful of a word. Read the article because it really will reveal quite a number of things in terms of the trading approach that we take to help our clients profit from these conditions. So where to for markets and for the UK? And I guess the critical risk right now as we look at the digestion of the vote, a vote arguably that shouldn't have been allowed to happen in the first place but did, highlights a major flaw in the political system in the UK at the moment. And it's not the parliamentary system, it's perhaps some of the people that are within it. And if we look back to times of crisis around the world over decades going back, this is a time where strong leadership is absolutely imperative. And if you look back through history, irrespective of political persuasion, Margaret Thatcher, probably one of the better leaders. Whether or not you would support her political views, another matter. Or alternatively, if you're on the other side of the house, here's a guy that united Ireland and resolved the Northern Ireland Peace Accord. Now, these are people that led from the front. They didn't pander to the populace. They were voted in to do the job, and they kind of got it done. It wasn't a popularity contest, which really comes down to what the UK needs right now. It is all about leadership. And look, if you're running a business or anything else, can't recommend this book highly enough either. Tribal Leadership, great book about building that culture of support within what it is you're doing. But this broadcast isn't about books and recommending some things to get your teeth into. It's about looking at where the opportunities sit within the UK and within investment markets broadly on the back of this groundbreaking news, and that's Britain's decision to exit the European Union. And to quote a book from one of my mentors, awakening the giant within is exactly what the UK has got the potential to do. And look, there are going to be difficult times there, I suspect. And as an economist, I would suggest that we're probably looking at a fairly significant period of economic pain for the UK. 3 to 5 years in the sort of timeline where we're going to see significant unemployment and we're going to see things very, very tough for a period of time. But that period of time will pass, and as an opportunity for the UK to retool and re-identify itself, I think the longer term benefits to the economy will be great. For the European Union, I think it's the first and a very major sign of a fracture there. The issues of Greece, of Portugal, of Spain, they haven't gone away. And at its absolute hub, when the EC, as it was known before the European Union was formed, it was all about being able to have the big trading blocks, having a more economic environment. But that purpose has really changed over time, and with the inclusion of countries like Poland and Lithuania and a lot of the peripheral countries, some of which or many of which are now part of formerly Eastern Europe, there's an enormous thirst for subsidy to regenerate those economies and get them up to speed. Now, in the case of the UK, 19.5 billion a year going out in subsidies and 9 billion coming back. There's a finite period of time that you can run a loss of 10 billion a year going out the door, and arguably that money going out the door to retool and establish a competitor for your economy down the track. It's just nonsensical that could work. And I think you're going to see the European Union really start to run into problems, not necessarily in the next 5 minutes, but over the next 3 to 5 years, as the reality of the dream doesn't really come through. And within there, of course, there will be great trading opportunities, as we've seen. And this whole notion of being caught in the noise of trading headline to headline reflects for a lot of people the fact that they just don't simply have a trading plan. They're caught in the noise. Another book, if we're on recommending books, great book here, Trading in the Zone, fantastic for keeping you on point. But the point here is really very simple. Our strategy going into Brexit was to be positioned for a shock reaction by markets to profit from that fall in markets, which proved to be quite lucrative. But more than trying to predict the vote, because I don't think even the UK political commentators were able to do that, no one expected them to vote to come out. Instead of playing red or black and trying to punt on what the outcome was going to be, these sort of events are very, very unusual, and they create short-term volatility in markets. So the trading patterns we were looking for was in the VIX, which is the volatility index, the VIX, which reflects the level of volatility in markets. Now, you can't trade the VIX as an index, but what you can do is trade options around it. And prior to the Brexit vote, the VIX was trading in a softer range of around about 15, 16, 17 points, spiking up to the high 20s, back down to 25 now. And irrespective of vote, that volatility was almost a given. So there was an opportunity of really joining the dots between a major news event, and everybody knew the vote was happening, and a way of being able to profit from that through having a strategy that didn't rely on you guessing what the outcome of the vote was going to be. And that's proved to be rather lucrative for us, and I hope it has been for you. If it hasn't been lucrative for you, well, maybe we can help teach you how to profit from these opportunities. But going back to the main point here, the answer is simple. Every movement in markets, every scenario, there is a way of trading it, and it's a question of finding your own groove and learning a process that enables you to be an all-seasons investor, so that when something such as Brexit, which is once in a lifetime, let's hope, type scenario happens, you're on the front foot and able to capitalize on it. Because everybody looks, but only some people see. And if you want to profit from markets, you need to learn how to see where that opportunity is. VIX is a classic example of that. Feel free to go back and have a read of the article that I wrote last week to talk about what we anticipate on the back of Brexit, and that ability to focus on the picture and not the frame. And that is how you make money trading. So great to check in with you, and look forward to spending some time with you in the future.